Good evening, Earth. This is Adam Sturch broadcasting from the Mushroom Mansion, Taos, New Mexico, working on oil painting a light from nowhere. Alright, staying up a little late tonight. I built a portfolio compression movie that's a pretty big file. It's a whole lot of photos and it took me a while to dial it in. Excuse me. As far as the time per frame, to fit it into the song that I picked. That's a little bit stormy in town tonight, or over the mountain tonight, and the internet seems to be kind of going slow. So it's taking that a while to upload, so while I wait for that, I thought I'd go ahead and do a really simple step on this. It's necessary, and I have to be kind of careful because I'm waiting for this area to dry completely. I used a very thick, oily white to do that shine, the glow, as well as the fireplace yellow, which is actually raised in texture a little bit, as well as this is, as you can see there. So that's going to take a little bit longer to dry before I can do the final step on the stove or the glow. But what I would like to do is tighten in the glaze. Where is my brush handle? There we go. Around the fireplace, so that the deep blue dark creeps closer into the red glow. And so I have to do that pretty carefully, without touching any of the existing wet paint on the details of the glow or the fireplace. And I've mixed up a coal black, a deep ultramarine, a lake blue, and what else did I put in that? A touch of turquoise, just to make a very deep, subtle, dark gray blue. So I'm just going to cover all those areas with that, and then we can move on to the next step once this all dries.
I'd never heard of you before I came to California, and I listened to you, and it was really inspiring. I never realized that psychedelic experiences had such a strong effect before I listened to you speak on the entire populace of the world. I wanted to believe that, but I couldn't justify it from just me thinking that. And the lecture last night was really good. It took me a really long time to go to sleep. Usually a person hits the moon and crashes out. I'd also like to find out more about pterodactyls. I've had problems with other prehistoric beasts people, not particularly good. And because I'm an artist, and I want to find out more how to use psychedelic experiences to
propagate art. Sure.
I'm also interested too in how we can go about inviting people that have a wall up against using psychedelics for growth, like family members. How possibly you can get them. I mean, if there's any way you know of coercing them into they might not normally feel comfortable doing talking about every day. I have one member of my family that's interested in trying things, but because they're illegal, just can't justify it. I want to know if there's any way or any place that it is legal. No, other people.
Yeah, well, it's a really intense issue for people, and telling someone that you think they should take a psychedelic compound for purposes of spiritual growth is usually going to set off some kind of very strong reaction.
I don't need it, is what I...
Yes, or you're saying I'm screwed up, or you're trying to poison me, or you're screwed up, or you wouldn't be saying this, these kinds of things. Recently I had to review Marshall McLuhan's letters, so I read all these letters that McLuhan wrote. And one of the things he wrote about was how nervous people got when he tried to discuss the effects of media the unconscious effects of media. And he said that people who were raised in the tradition of phonetic alphabets were tremendously nervous about having the machinery of reality examined. And I think the drug thing is even more intensely this kind of issue. When I was in the 60s, when I went home thinking I would convert my family to taking LSD, it was very clear to me as I argued with them about it, that the reason they didn't want to take it was because they knew damn good and well that they were crazy. And they didn't want to mess with it. You know, the last thing on earth they wanted to do was probe and explore the mind. They had that all nailed down just fine, thank you. So it is, we will talk about this. Good, well, I'm glad you're here.
My name is Kim, and I think the reason that I'm here is that I'm looking for motivation in life. I think Terrence last night termed it effortless, appropriate activity. And it seems that life would be better lived if there was a clear, or if not clear, at least a feeling of where we were going and what needed to be done. And there was some knowledge that we were operating with to give just more meaning in life. And so I've spent my life looking into different areas. I studied biology for a time, and have gone into, not too deeply into various Sufism for a little bit. And now I make my living writing computer software. But I find that currently Terrence seems to be the strongest magnet that I feel can lead me into, hopefully into a path towards knowledge and motivation.
The tall order. For one so unmotivated. Don't make that on it. Don't bend the baby.
40 seconds away from it.
True. And one federal felony.
I think that's good.
So the Western model of reality, scientific reality. And so I guess the only thing I want to say is that I think that these are some incredible ideas that you so that I won't feel like this is something.
But I imagine some of this stuff will come around.
My name is Stephanie, and I have a great amount of respect for psychoactives and their use as in traditional kind of path knowledge, and have used them for a number of decades in this form. I'm also interested in for recreation. And I'm also, one of the other reasons, main reasons I'm here is because my son has expressed interest in working at the garden with you next year, and so I kind of want to know who you are.
Okay, so you're scouting.
You're my mother's beauty.
What kind of a maniac is this guy?
My name is Ted, and I started having substances in the 60s, when after a 20-year lapse, I've taken some psilocybin. I guess my twofold was kind of a practical level questions like, why does physical weakness?
All right, and it just wasn't quite blue enough before. The deep violet, purple, and other dark layers that I kind of built up there were still much too black. And now the whole thing has a very nice, even, deep, sort of glowing blue. And the stove, light is tapered off into it pretty smoothly, and that's actually developing quite a bit of a nice spectrum throughout the glaze work of the glow of the stove into the blue of the surrounding composition, or negative space. Okay, so that's it for the moment. Thanks for watching. That's Adam Sturch broadcasting from the Mushroom Mansion House, New Mexico, working on oil painting a light from nowhere. Here, I want to zoom in and pan up and down on that.
Yeah, that's the real problem.
It's a nice tone.
with that one from the inside. Okay, now the people
go.
who slipped in while this process was raging. Sir,
My name is John Harrison. I first heard you speak on tape 3 years ago. I'm enjoying it.
So probably one more step to go on this one.
I had an opportunity to
I'll reglaze the stove a very translucent, very thin, bright red. Redo the yellow, redo the shadows around the knobs and details of the stove. And then hit this with a very thin, light blue glaze. Build up another layer of highlights and reinforce the existing highlights. And that will be that once this all sets up. That might take another few days. So, anyway, thanks for watching. Have a good night, Earth. Oh, and stay tuned for the Portfolio Omni movie coming out soon, set to Mac Lethal's track, iPhone plus Beatbox plus, I don't know what the fuck he titled that song, but anyway, it's a ridiculously long title, but it's an amazing track, and I think it works well with the speed and the rhythm of compressing 1800 paintings and drawings or something like that, something ridiculous like that. Maybe it was 15. I need to look it up on the properties of the file to give an accurate quote on that at the moment. But anyway, it's a lot of photos compressed into about a 4-minute, 11-second song. I think it was every 200th of a second there's a new photo. So you can do the math on that. I think it's 200. Yes, somewhere in there, a fraction of a second. So anyway, good night. It'll be up soon.